Welcome everyone, welcome back to Consciousness Rising, episode 5. And for those that have never seen any of my work before, just a quick reminder that it's a progressive journey, and that to reap the most benefit out of this, ideally you need to start at episode 1, because I've given a lot of thought to these videos and how they progress, and each one is linked. So you can watch, you can jump in at episode 5 and glean a lot from this. However, the way I've designed these videos is that they all lead into one, starting at the inner work of selfhood, and eventually we're going to get to start to talk about the universe, but one step at a time. And they take a while to put together, as I've said before, so I take my time with these. I like them to look nice. This is the way I like to present my work. So lots of other people out there present work in lots of different ways. I like the slideshow along with my voice, because that just, I find, for me, it's very creative as well. It engages my creative brain, and it's quite cathartic for me to make these. So, and I'm just sharing these in the hope that some of you will benefit from them, and hopefully empower yourselves. So that's all I'm about, really. I'm about helping people understand themselves and realise that you are the power. Today's topic, emotional freedom techniques explained, and I'm going to give a brief history of where emotional freedom techniques come from, and also I'm going to do a very brief how-to section. So I'm going to show you how to use emotional freedom techniques. There's no way on earth I'm going to cover all of it. When you get to the how-to section, and if you think of something you want to work on, take it slow and don't go in too deep, I would advise, because EFT work can go very deep. It's one of the powers of it, is that, as I said before when I was talking about shadow work, is that this can uncover the subconscious. I've seen many people, I've helped many people with this technique, and what quite often happens is they're tapping on one thing and other stuff comes up, and usually that's for me to write it down. When I do traditional counselling, because I am a trained therapist and I'm trained in emotional freedom techniques and traditional talk therapy, when I do traditional counselling, I never ever write anything down, because I don't want to break the connection. I don't want a barrier. With EFT, I have to. There's just no ways about it. It's because so much stuff can come up for some people, and each bit that they unlock I write down as a subheading, because it's all linked, and whatever your subconscious mind throws up is important. So don't discount anything if you're doing this kind of work. Write it down yourself. As I say, I'm also a practitioner of this. What I love about EFT is that you can learn it in a minute, but it can take a lifetime to master in some aspects. If you're doing work on yourself, it's good to take it slow, and I'll give a few pointers to that at the end. It is it's energy medicine, so we're addressing things on a very deep level. I will go on to, in my videos, talk about how everything is energy, because when you break everything down, that is the construct of the universe, is energy, frequency and vibration. Nikola Tesla knew that, and he said that, and so did many others. So this really, for me, deals with things on not only the physical plane, it can address the spiritual as well, the energy that you are. Okay, that being said, we'll move forward. Oh, also, as another pointer, it's not advisable to use this technique if you have schizophrenia or you're suffering from episodes of psychosis, and that's because people with those conditions, and they're awful conditions, their energy is very, very out of whack, and this doesn't fit. I was advised on my training, never ever work with anyone with schizophrenia or psychosis. With those, the person that trained me, she does Reiki with those people. She doesn't do this. But from everyone else, It's a fantastic technique, and I hope that some of you get benefit from it because it can address really deep-seated issues. As I said, it's an energy medicine or energy psychology, and if you remember and this is why these videos are linked, in my second video where I spoke about the subconscious and the conscious mind, one of the ways that we can address the subconscious is through energy psychology. So this is one of those. There's lots and lots of other ones. So yeah, this for me is the one I'm trained in. It's the one I'm most familiar with. However, I have had acupuncture last year, and for many years I've suffered with bouts of sciatica. I sometimes get a really bad back, and I had a particularly nasty case of it last year. And I went to see a physiotherapist who was also an acupuncturist, and he mostly did acupuncture with me, and it worked amazingly. I couldn't thank him enough, really. But anyway, fundamentally, all energy therapies can be traced back to acupressure and shiatsu. Many of you might have had a shiatsu massage, but it's all to do with energy centers or points. These therapies developed independently, but alongside each other in China and Japan, respectively. So these are quite ancient; they go way back. However, similar therapeutic concepts can be traced in many parts of the world, so it's not just there, which are equally as old or older than the Chinese or Japanese therapies. But these ones we're dealing with today are very similar to acupuncture. So we're dealing with the human meridian system, and EFT and acupuncture work on that basis. The beautiful thing about EFT is if you're scared of needles, well then you're laughing, because there are no needles. It's completely non-invasive, which I'll go on to talk about. This slide's quite long, but I'm going to read it all out because it's so important. We're going into the history. The guy on the right is called Dr. Callahan. He'd been seeing a lady called Mary. She was in her 40s. He'd been seeing her for a year and a half. She had a profound phobia of water since childhood and could not even face a full bathtub of water, and she was even terrified when it rained. We're dealing with a very, very deep-seated phobia here. So I think, if I remember rightly reading as well, she couldn't even sort of look at a glass of water. So it was completely controlling her life. He'd been working for a year and a half with using traditional talk therapies, and he was not really getting anywhere. Dr. Callahan asked Mary one day if she would like to try an experiment. He'd become dissatisfied with conventional methods and had been looking into the human meridian system, like I said, the Chinese meridian system energy. I can understand how he feels, because there are some clients that I've always felt need deeper help. And the problem with talk therapy, and I'm not knocking talk therapy because I've seen counselling have amazing benefits for people, when you're dealing with trauma or things that are stuck in the energy system, you need something else. And I've always felt that, and I always wanted to combine my spiritual path into my therapy somehow, and EFT has allowed me to do that brilliantly. Mary often described having a feeling in the pit of her stomach. After asking Mary to tap under her eye, she suddenly exclaimed, "It's gone. That horrible feeling I get in the pit of my stomach when I think about water is completely gone." She then ran out of her chair and over to Dr. Callahan's swimming pool. He used to use his swimming pool to sort of desensitise to it, but she couldn't face it until this miraculous healing happened. After this incident, Mary's phobia had vanished, and apparently even years and years later, this had stayed. And this was just working with one of the points in EFT, under the eye point. I'll show you all of the points as we come up. Most of the most commonly used ones. So just after this, getting her to tap on that meridian, which is under the eye. I think it's the stomach meridian. I don't know off the top of my head which ones they all relate to. You can look that up yourself. It had cleared this phobia. This phobia was locked into her energy system, and by doing that, she cleared it, which was amazing. You can't imagine the massive benefit and the healing that gave her. The fact that she'd been carrying this since childhood, and it's gone just by tapping under her eye. It's amazing. Either then went on to develop what's called TFT, which is thought field therapy. They are quite similar, but also very different in the fact that thought field therapy uses the meridians just as EFT does, but thought field therapy would have specific algorithms. So, for instance, say you came to see Dr. Callahan about a specific pain, he would tell you to tap on certain points and maybe miss some of the others to do with, or he'd get you to do it in a certain order. So it was very scriptured, I don't know if that's the right word, but it was very specific. So whatever your problem was depended on what points you tap. And this goes on to talk about Gary Craig. Gary Craig, he invested a lot of money to go and study with Dr. Callahan, and he went on to be the founder of EFT, and we owe him much. You know, he's an absolute genius in many sense of the word. What he basically did was he simplified the tapping procedure and reduced the 10 to 15 different algorithms that were used in thought field therapy and removed the diagnostic element. So basically he said, we don't need to diagnose these people. We'll just use all the points, you know. We won't do certain algorithms and certain orders based on what the problem is. It's not really important. We'll just use all the points for every problem. And it's been miraculous. So instead, EFT uses one comprehensive tapping routine and does not require diagnosis. It is also really simple to learn, and you can apply it to everything. And I mean everything from trauma, depression, anxiety, phobias. I've been working with someone with phobias and they've had tremendous breakthroughs. And pain. I often, funnily enough, would steer clear of the pain because I working with pain a lot, but then what I tend to do now with pain is I look for the things behind the pain. So I might ask someone sitting with me if they've got I don't know, let's just say a bad knee, what's the emotion behind that? Because everything starts as an energy and then manifests itself physically. There's lots and lots of evidence coming out now, to which people like Bruce Lipton, I know I talk about him a lot, but he's been a great pioneer of, you know, your body speaks your mind, and these things that we carry around mentally and energetically, they do manifest physically. So there's a whole new science on that, but I won't go into that. But yeah, basically Gary Craig went to Dr. Callahan, learnt as much as he could, and then simplified it down and invented what's to be known as emotional freedom techniques. So it's often called tapping, often simply called tapping. I describe it, it's a non-invasive meridian energy healing modality. It's a mixture of physical stimulation of the acupressure points using targeting wording. It's sort of a combination of exposure therapy with the energy medicine. So you're exposing yourself to the problem, and then you're using the meridian points as a kind of waste removal service. So you're kind of accessing that energy up, and then you're sending these signals by tapping these points to the amygdala. So that's what's happening physically. Physically, it sends a calming signal to the amygdala, which tells the body to calm down, shuts off the fight or flight response. That's what's happening physically. But there's also, like I say, it is energy at the end of the day. You're removing blocks in the energy field. And there, I've said it works on the principle that the cause of all negative emotions is a disruption in the body's energy system. In essence, what we're doing is we're removing the quote-unquote wrong energy from our body by using the meridian lines as a kind of waste disposal system, and we're accessing this wrong energy by calling it up. That's basically it. There's loads and loads of science and research on it. This one in particular, I mean, you could read loads and loads and loads of it if you go to the right places, which I'm going to point you to. Another leading figure in the world of EFT is Dr. Dawson Church, that's him there. He carried out a controlled study on cortisol reduction. Cortisol is what's released when you're in fight or flight, and it's the thing that basically kicks you into action. It's what you feel when you're really anxious. It goes all around your body, makes you feel very anxious. The study what he did was he compared EFT to traditional talk therapy. So he's comparing energy medicine basically to counselling. And they tested the cortisol before and after, and they did it on quite a big control group. As basically the results showed that the cortisol levels dropped by up to 24% in the group receiving EFT, with some people showing a drop of up to 50%. I mean, that's half. And the group receiving traditional talk therapy showed no drop in cortisol. Now, there's some really important I've got to bring up here. This is one of my criticisms of counselling, and I am a counsellor, so, and like I say, there are great benefits to it. Particularly when you're dealing with trauma, you know, that client might come in, say they've had a motorcycle accident, that will leave an energetic scar, as well as the physical, whatever physical damage was done in that motorcycle accident. What happens with traditional talk therapy is you bring it up in session. The fight or flight response has been conditioned to kick in, so therefore you're in a state of fight or flight, you're really anxious, your cortisol's through the roof, and then you leave your session, and then you're left with all that. You come back next week and you're reliving it again and again and again. So for trauma, this is where I come unstuck, because I knew that I needed something else. I needed something deeper when, particularly with trauma. And EFT is a way to remove that trauma and that conditioned response. So, and the way I mean, this is amazing. I mean, up to 50%. That's incredible. And like I say, that doesn't mean counselling's rubbish. Counselling's brilliant if you're in the right mindset. However, my personal take on it is, if you've got trauma, I'll switch straight to EFT, because I need something else to help that client remove those emotional and energetic scars. So yeah, I mean, what a research. There's so much you can read up on it. The science now is just proving without a shadow of a doubt that this therapy works, and not only does it work, it sticks. Once you've removed something, it's gone forever. There's some websites to check out. EFTuniverse.com, I think that's Dawson Church's website. Loads of stuff on there. There is a book, I think it's just called the EFT Handbook. I can't remember if I'm right. Brilliant book. You can buy that book. What cost you about 12 quid, I suppose, which is way less than a session of EFT, what some people charge. However, I keep my prices low, I might add. But I've seen some people charging about £96 for a session of EFT. I mean, I personally, I won't go into it, but I feel quite angry about things like that. But you can buy that book and use that book. You've invested £12 and you can use that book, and that'll give you everything you need to do your own EFT journey. You don't need to go and see a practitioner. And that's why I'm doing this video, in Explained, you could say I'm doing myself out of a service, but I mean, there is a time and a place for a practitioner. I'll talk about that at the end, but check out these websites, because they give some great stuff away for free. The tapinsolution.com, run by Nick and Jessica Ortner, and I think they've got another brother called Alex. They do some great work, and they also give a lot away for free. There's an app. They actually have an application for your phone if you've got a smartphone. It's called the Tapping Solution. Download it. There's loads of free. They have a subscription service as well, but what I love about them, yes, they make money off of it to live or what have you, but they also give so much away for free, and I find that with the EFT community in general, there's just so many people giving so much away for free, and that's just so good to see. So check out the tapinsolution.com. Peter Stapleton, she's an Australian, I think she's a doctor, but she is a big name in the field, and what I love about her work is that she's doing a lot of the science that backs it up. So she's done a great TED talk as well on Is Therapy Facing a Revolution, I think it's called, where she talks about EFT being the new wave, the new therapy. And check her out as well, because she's done some great stuff. Great people that are really, waving the flag really for EFT. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about how to work with EFT now. Identify your targets. The first step is to choose something you wish to work on. EFT, being an energy medicine, can work on anything, whether it's physical or emotional pain. What I would suggest, if you're trying this for the first time, go ahead. It's great. Start somewhere. Choose something small. Don't go too deep too fast. It's like, just take it in small steps. It's good actually to start with pain. It doesn't have to be a chronic pain. Maybe you've got a sore shoulder or something. Just see what happens. The image on the left, it comes from the Tapping Solution. That is not my creation. I'm not that genius. What that basically shows you is that you've got the symptoms on the top. the emotions, so you're going deeper and deeper, because doing EFT is like peeling in layers of an onion. Each time you deal with something, you uncover something deeper and deeper and deeper until that's all cleared, and then it's all gone. So you've got the symptoms at the top, the emotions are the branches, the events is the trunk, and the limiting beliefs are where it's sprung from. They're in the earth. Limiting beliefs really are your subconscious programming that I spoke about in episode 2. You can work on any of those and you'll find the links. And they also do a worksheet, which is really good. It's got that tree and it's got spaces where you can fill in blanks for each thing, so you can identify what needs to be cleared. Okay, so that's important to say as well. EFT has been shown to be more powerful when being specific as possible. So if you can link something back to an event, you might not be able to straight away. It's more powerful because our problems are fused by events. So being as specific as possible is important, but also if you can work on a specific event, then you're laughing. Like I said, this is because a lot of our fears stem from a past event. We learn. We're not born with all these fears. We acquire them. I mean, that's powerful in itself. Just sit and think, do that contemplation exercise. Where did I acquire these fears? Where did they come from? Once you've got something to work on, we're going to give it an SUD rating, or SUD. SUD scale is used to recognise the severity of the issue you're working on. After identifying, choosing an issue to work on, tune in to the distress you feel and give it a rating. So if it's pain, say you've got this shoulder pain or back pain, I'm going to use lower back pain because I get that a lot. Okay, so I'm sitting here now, I'm going to tune into my lower back pain. I say I've got like a 2 there. It's very rare that I'm at a 0. I've always got some tension in my back. 10 being the worst, 0 being nothing. There you go. That's really easy. So maybe write that down. It's a good idea to write that down. I always write these numbers down when I work with people because also I can show them after. It's kind of a roadmap. Look at the progress you've made. So, say you're sitting there right now and you're working on your lower back and you tune into it and you think, oh yeah, it's about a 3 or 4. Write it down. Right, lower back pain, 3 or 4. Some people don't like numbers, that's fine. I come up with another chart with someone the other day that was like extremely high, bad, neutral, low, extremely low, nothing, or something like that, because some people have problem with numbers, that's fine. Don't overthink the rating, just feel the problem, and then after the tapping, you'll reassess. I'll come on to that anyway. Right, these are the tapping points. On this graphic, they're shown on both sides of the body. You do not have to tap both sides of the body, okay? I sometimes do. Just go with how you feel. Trust your intuition. If you feel you want to tap both eyebrow points, do it. If you want to tap both sides of the eye, do it. But if you halved that, the ones under the nose, the ones where there's... So you've got... I'll talk you through the points. So you've got the hand point, or called the karate chop point. That's the first one you make contact with. I'll talk you through the sequence in a minute anyway. Then you've got the eyebrow point, which is where your sort of nose meets your eyebrow. Like I say, you only need one side, but do both if you feel you want to. Then you move over to the side of the eye, and there's like a bony bit there. Tap on the bony bit. Then you've got under the eye, if you feel the bony bit under your eyeball. Like I say, only need one side of the body. Then you've got under the nose, which is like on your top lip. Under the mouth, which is on your bottom lip. The collarbone point, like I say, you only need one side of your body. What I sometimes do is tap in the middle, and then you sometimes stimulate both points. And then you've got under the arm, the under the arm point. That's sort of in line with the nipple. If you go under your armpit in line with your nipple, that's around about where it was. I usually just slap with my whole hand. And then the last point, some people don't use it, I do, because is the top of the head, because that is the meeting point of all the meridians. So it's, to me, that's like sealing the deal. I'm using each individual point, which they all stand for different things. I'm not going to go into that on this video. I might do later. But these are the basic tapping points. This is a very basic video, okay? But that top of the head one, that's the last one, because that is all the points combined. Okay, the first thing to do, so you've identified your problem, you've gave it a rating, is the setup statement. The setup statement is where we use a phrase that focuses on the problem. Okay, so we're not, what I love about EFT, we're facing our problems. We're not just burying them in the subconscious. So we focus on the problem and we continuously tap the karate chop point. I usually do it with 3 fingers. The most common version of this is, even though I have this pain in my lower back, and you take that bit out and put whatever problem you've got, that's just my example. I deeply and completely accept myself, and you do it 3 times. Even though, while tapping the karate chop, I have this pain in my back, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this pain in my back, lower back, I deeply and completely accept myself. This is repeated 3 times, all the while whilst tapping the karate chop point. Next, what you do, now we tap on the other points discussed while shortening the setup statement to just the problem. So you don't need to say that whole spiel again. You just say the problem. So for my example, it would be this pain in my lower back. And I say that as I tap about 7 to 8 times on each point in this order. Eyebrow point. This pain in my lower back, side of the eye, this pain in my lower back, under the eye, this pain in my lower back. If you want to change what you're saying, you know, and you uncover that you're angry, go, this frustration and pain in my lower back, under the nose, under the mouth, collarbone, under the arm, top of the head. Okay, that's the sequence. Some people do the top of the head first. Some people do it last. I like to do it last just because that's me. There's no right or wrong way. Because to me, it's like, in my head, it's like sealing the deal. I'm tapping all the points now just to seal the deal. That's just the way I work. If you want to do the top of the head first, then the other ones, that's fine. But that's the order that I recommend. Okay? While just saying the problem. This pain in my back, this pain in my back, or this anxiety. Don't ever say this anxiety. Be specific. If you're anxious about a meeting, say this anxiety about this meeting. That's what, you know, you have to be specific with EFT. The more specific, the better. Okay, so after doing that, you have completed 1 round of tapping. Next, you take 3 very important steps. You take a deep breath. I think this is really important because to me, that's like breathing in and letting go of the problem. Breathe it out into the universe. Let the universe have it back. After you've done that and you've settled yourself down, tune back into the problem. So feel that problem in your back and remeasure using the SUD scale. What normally happens is it will go down a little bit. Some people, I've gone from an 8 on a problem to a 2, which is incredible. If you're, like I said there, if your number has gone down, great. You have just cleared some of your blocked energy. If there is no change in number and it stayed the same and there's literally no change, it is usually that you aren't being specific enough. Like I say, just tapping on anxiety is not usually enough. You need to say what specifically you're anxious about. And I can't stress that enough. And that is all there is to it, really. There are other tapping points, which I won't go over today. There are other techniques that I'll discuss another day. But what I want to do is just get you started. Because this is such a powerful tool, and you can just, I mean, it takes 5 minutes, and you can clear a problem or get it down. Sometimes some people can't remove it completely. I would recommend, whatever you're working on, if you can, try and clear it completely, or get it to the lowest point that you possibly can, so you can get on with your day or your life. Sometimes I've known people get round the 1 or 2 and then, you know, they're happy, they want to move on, to the next thing or whatever, and they're like, oh, that's a 2, but yeah, that's brilliant, that was a 9, you know, that's incredible. Sometimes the next day that'll be a 0. So sometimes EFT is still working when we're not aware of it, if that makes sense. And sometimes it might be half hour later. I remember working with someone, I think they had shoulder pain. We did a really quick couple of rounds on it. We got it from an 8 to like a 3, I think. And then half hour later they were like, oh, it's about a 1 now. So it was still working because by stimulating these points, we're letting go, we're releasing. Some people during EFT can have certain reactions. A lot of people feel absolutely knackered. I've experienced this. That although it might be annoying if you want to do something, that's actually a good sign because that's a release. A release can happen in your body in lots of different ways. Some people burp, some people fart. I've worked with people that sneeze. Whatever that is, that's all a good sign because that means something's shifting. You know, it's letting go one bit at a time. So whatever that is, if you burp for half hour while doing it, that's a good sign. Okay, final thoughts and advice. Like I said at the beginning, take it slow. Start small. Even a small shift down is progress. Even if you work for half hour and get it down 2 points, that's still progress. Don't ever think, oh, I only moved 2 points. It might be that, you know, you need to revisit it another day. Breathe in between rounds. I think that's really important. I always get people to take, after a round of tapping, I always say take a deep breath. Drink water. Because of the electrical, energetic nature of it, it can make us very thirsty. I find that sometimes I have to drink in between. They also seek a practitioner if you need extra support. Okay, and that's why I said is that you've got to keep yourself safe doing this kind of work. It's not scary, but I don't want people going in too deep and opening up all sorts of things. Like I worked with a woman once. We were working on something quite small, but she started bringing up a lot of other deep things, and I was very pushed for time. But I said to her, you know, there's so much we could work on, but let's just take it slow. I've only got like 20 minutes, so we just cleared one small thing. You know, don't jump in at the deep end. Go very, very small. You know, that's why I think pain's a good one, because we all have a little niggle here and there. If you can clear a pain, brilliant. Seek a practitioner if you feel you need support. I am a practitioner. I offer sessions. I might put a link to my business page. And if you can't afford it, talk to me. We'll try and work something out. You know, I'm not all about money. I need money to live, just like everyone does. But I don't want to make millions off of this. And that's why I'm doing this video as well. And I am going to be doing, coming up, I'm definitely going to be doing some specific meditations. So I might do one on anxiety, one on depression, one on pain. You know, I'm going to be doing that completely for free, because I want people to access this work, because I know how powerful it is. But if you do need a practitioner, get in touch with me. There's not many of us in Kent. I did look today. There's not many people that do this work, which, again, that's another reason I want to push this out there, because I want people to know more about this. As I said, it is not advisable to use EFT if you have schizophrenia or psychosis. Seek something else. But that's it, really. I hope you do experiment with it. There are other tapping points. I'm going to do another video. I'm definitely going to do another video where I explain the movie technique. The movie technique is very powerful, particular if you have a traumatic event. There's a way you can address it like a film. I'll talk it through in another video. It's too deep for now, but this is just a very, very small, brief starting point into the world of EFT. I love the EFT. I feel like I was destined to do this work, and if you've got any questions or you want any advice, you know, contact me. But you know, I just want people to be able to empower themselves, and EFT is a very, very powerful tool. Alright, take care guys. See you again in another one. Bye.